Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's Gaming Friday. I'm Gary.
And I'm Geoff.
And today we are taking a look at 7 Days to Die, which is published by The Fun Pimps and Telltale Games. So, I know Telltale Games kind of...
I take it Telltale's publishing it, isn't it?
Yes, published, yes, yeah. Well, you know, they developed, the Walking Dead series of survival storytelling games, and now they're cool. You know what, we'll just... we'll help publish this 7 Days to Die. It's got zombies in it, why not?
Yeah.
And this is a game that's now currently available on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the PC, and on Mac. And it's been in early access since December of 2013. And so, this game has been floating around
for a while,
for quite a while. And it is essentially a open world, zombie-filled survival horror taking place after the events of a nuclear World War III somewhere in Arizona. We find our character Noah trying to survive.
Yeah, so, I don't know why they've even given him a name or tried to put any pretense of story on there, because there's no real story you need to know about this game.
And that, for me, is already the reason why I've stayed very clear from resource collecting sort of games.
If this isn't your thing, you're gonna know straight away. I think that this isn't your thing. If you're gonna be like, oh yeah, what's the fucking point in that? Well, why am I just collecting all this shit just to make stuff? Then this game isn't for you. If you're the kind of person who likes Minecraft and just loves like the unlimited freedom of building any possibilities, then this game is probably something you might be interested in. It's basically Minecraft with kind of tower defense / zombie defense. It's not really tower defense, zombie defense.
Well, unless you want to construct your own tower.
Yeah, that's it. You can construct towers,
but zombies are not going to come funneling at you through a predetermined path. They're going to come at you from everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. It's like a free-flowing open 3D world.
And there we go with the zombie.
When it's nighttime, the zombies are like manic. You've got to try and do as much resource collecting through the daytime as you can, and then do as much surviving through the night as you can.
And what happens if you should fail horribly, like we have just witnessed?
You die. So what happens is your penalty for death. I tell you what, I will. If I spawn near my bed here, I'm just going to start a new game because we've started in the middle of the night here because we were messing around with an earlier game. So if I go to new game, I will go ATS1. There we go. Right, so let's start that. See, as well as your stamina that you can have. And if you die, your total amount keeps getting chipped down up until a minimum point. So there's not a huge penalty for death. This game is mostly focused around construction. There we go, that was Noah and the intro. This game is mostly focused around construction.
So now you're cutting the grass with your fists.
Yeah, so that you get eight little missions for your starting survivor quests, like 8 survivor quests. And your first thing is you got to collect plant fibers, so you can just punch them. There you go, and then you can start.
What? Why are you punching that tree?
Punch the tree
to get wood.
Yeah, just
what?
Getting wood. You can also get it from little trees like that, which is perhaps a little bit easier because it's not quite so hard.
It kind of makes sense that he just doesn't have the animation for uprooting these plants to get the materials, so it's just a default punch everything until you get what you need.
Exactly, yeah. It's fairly basic. It's just simple resource collecting.
So for a game that kind of prides itself a little bit on having this physics and construction,
it's not going for realism at all. What it's going for is freedom of construction. So as you see, like, I've got a few key resources there. I need to find another small stone. So my first thing I got to do is I got to craft a stone axe. You see that?
Okay, yeah. So you're in the red over there. So
yeah, you can even punch stones, but it takes quite a long time to get the stone if you just punch it.
I can imagine it'd take a very long time. And as a matter of fact, I think The Rock would win in the end.
Well, it would in real life. I could punch rocks into pieces, but it just takes me a long time. That's all. Right. So now I go straight into here, and I've got my crafting menu. So the first thing I need is a tool to help me do everything else.
Well, I've just got to say, Geoff, this user interface looks intimidating already. There is a lot of submenus and images and graphs and text everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this bit is pretty standard. You got blocks for all your standard inventory, and then these are like your hotkeys 1 to 8. Your like personal inventory, you're immediately accessible. This is like your backpack back here. Yeah, this is all your
everything you're carrying with you. Okay.
Yeah. So and now I've got a stone axe. Like as you can see, I can take out stuff a lot quicker. So like I can take out these little trees like with just a couple of hits, bump, and I'm picking up a lot more wood. If I go up to a big tree like this,
okay, so now you're collecting wood a lot faster.
A lot faster. But you see down in the bottom left there, I've got like a little bar that's slowly disintegrating and a number.
That's a stamina or energy.
That's right. That's the durability of the tool, and that number 1 indicates the level at which I've crafted it. So because I've crafted it at the very beginning, it's obviously absolutely shit. I've got no. Like it's the most basic level 1.
Yeah.
And so it'll have the least amount of durability, and it'll do the least amount of damage
once it's the bar's exhausted
at collecting resources. But the next thing I need to do is, as you can see, I need some clothes, because here I am. There's my character. I'm completely naked. There's my overall level.
Pretty buff.
There's my wellness. You start at 100, that goes down to about 70, I think, or might be 60. You can get punished
so you need to find shelter and accumulate food and water.
Yeah, as you can see, food, water, and you've also got a temperature thing there, so you can get cold as well. You don't want to get cold, so if I get into this, you've got all sorts of like pre-constructed buildings in the place, so you can get into here and take shelter.
The game does have one sort of unique map which is there for everyone when they play the game and just go for a single player experience.
Yes.
There is that sort of made up town in Arizona. Yes. But there is the option for randomly generated worlds. Which you can just randomly generate every time. But do you get any sort of options in those maps, or is it just random preset?
There's quite a lot of sliders that you can mess around with. You can like choose how much the resources are. You know, that you can change the zombie difficulty, that sort of thing. So yeah, there's quite a lot of control over it.
So the gist of the game being that it's 7 days to die. What happens on day 8?
So you survive and just generally kind of like you've got a lot of zombies to deal with as you're out and about collecting resources. They're more savage at night. The 7th night is mental. Like you're sort of all building up to this last 7th night, in which you better have crafted some fairly robust walls between you and the outside world, and things like these sorts of spikes.
Okay.
This sort of stuff here, because these are what, like, as I repair it here, it requires wood to repair it. As you can see, they get bloodier and bloodier and slowly wear down as zombies
impale themselves on them.
Yeah. But as you can see, like I'm around here, there's loads of resources here. I'm in a foresty area. There's different terrain types. You collect different types of things from there. But yeah, once you get to night 7, you're gonna need to batten down the hatches. And maybe have a few places like on balconies, things like that, you can get out and shoot down and try and keep back the massive tide of zombies that will just be incessantly trying to get you all through that night. So
I've heard that this game sort of has, an inverted sort of difficulty curve. Whereas most games will start out easy and get more difficult as they go.
Yeah.
Whereas this game starts out very difficult and gets easier as you go.
Yeah.
It's something that the developers of the game have addressed and they are working on, and I think Alpha Patch 16, which is to come, which is to add more variety of zombies or maybe enemy types and try and increase the difficulty as the game goes on. Now, I also know that this being a Steam game, or primarily, as it has probably the larger player base, there's also quite a large modding community for the game.
Yeah.
Also helping the developers of the game and keeping the game interesting, all these years later.
Yeah.
Because this is still one of the highest played zombie survival games on Steam right now.
It is also, yeah. I mean, it's a co-op games. You know, I mean, a lot of people love co-op, and it's one of those constructive ones where, you know, it's not like ridiculously gory or anything like that, but you've got zombies around. It's fun. You got constructive elements, so that kind of like team project building, you know, stuff like that. It's really good for that sort of thing. Like, you can get together with your mates, and your imagination will dictate really how extensively you want to play this game and how much purpose you will find in it. It is self-created purpose, you know. It's all about sort of creating your visions, what you can think of to experiment with different kinds of defensive scenarios. Because one of the other major things you can do is go into the ground, like Minecraft. That one of the big elements of it is that you can just transform the earth as much as you want. So
you could literally build a shovel and build trenches and fortifications and build your own moat, fill it with wooden spikes.
Exactly. Or you could say like, oh, what about if I, like, you know, hole myself up into a man-made cave or something.
Can you
like
build
that,
a tower of cans of chili beans?
No, unfortunately not. But they will stave your hunger whilst you're busy working. So as you can see, you can got some dirt here, and you can see I'm like digging all the dirt, and you've got all these different terrains that you dig up.
So I take it you can get build better shovels, or increase or decrease the amount of time it takes to dig holes.
Yeah. Okay. So you like your general sort of, you've got a lot of progression systems on this, and they're pretty effective. So if you go into here, my skills.
Okay. Run, forest, run. That's nice.
Yeah. So
Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Okay.
This is a quick overview of all of them. As you can see, you've got all your different skills with your weapons, things like mining tools, things like melee weapons, running, that sort of thing. Your athletics, like your stamina, that all goes up, as you can see, the more you do it. Your armor smithing, the more stuff you make, the better you get at it. So those all go naturally up, and you can boost them up quicker.
Okay.
By spending each level you go up, you get these points here, total points, and you can use that to spend on here. And then you've got things like more unique abilities, so like the survivor. You don't get hungry and thirsty so quickly. Run, forest, run. You use less stamina per rank. Sexual Tyrannosaurus, you regain your stamina quicker. These are sort of all one-off abilities, which you spend 10 experience points at a time. But generally, they're going to improve your. That you have to spend the points to get those improvements. You can't just get those by working for them. So you've got that kind of progression system. Then as you can see, my axe here, it's about to completely break. Yeah. Once it's completely broken.
It has now, yeah. Or it's missing parts.
There you go. So I can repair it, but because it's level 1, it's just going to repair itself at level 1.
Okay.
So what I will now do is scrap that, go back, build a new one. As you can see, you're limited by craft times, but that also gives you a chance to cancel it.
So you've skipped a whole bunch of levels and leveled it to level 5.
So there we go. Because of all the stuff I've been crafting in between, my levels improved that much, and now it's gone up to level 5. And as you can see, I can sort of gain more wood faster the higher that level goes, and that increases its durability on it. So yeah, you can, you've got that. Also, the progression of your weapons, you can build up the numbers on the quality of your weapons so that you're able to...
Now, there is one thing that this game does which I really like, and that's, incorporating into its physics engine, which is that when you build constructions and build your fortifications and you build these tunnels, if you take away the supports of certain buildings, your fortifications and your sanctuary will collapse on itself.
Yeah. Absolutely,
and it will be completely destroyed, and you'll be totally exposed to the elements, and of course the dead will eat your face. So I kind of like that you have to be smart in your construction as well.
Yeah.
And that adds an extra level to the gameplay, which otherwise is just a straightforward zombie survival. But the thing that also does have my interest is the fact that this is a multiplayer experience as well as a solitary experience.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, I would say if you're like a PvP survival person, this probably isn't going to have an awful lot for you because it's not very PvP focused, but it is definitely PvE slash is much more like PvE slash Minecraft focus, Minecraft building style focus. If you got into Fallout and went, oh my god, they've got crafting in Fallout, amazing.
Yeah.
And you have a love of Minecraft, you should definitely try this game because you're probably going to love it. If you're like, you just like raining down on noobs and killing those poor suckers that think they can ever step to you, then this game's probably not going to have much that's going to hold your interest, I would think.
So how well does this game perform? Is it computer intensive? Do you need the best graphics card? Because the game, looking at it, it looks, kind of standard for this genre of game.
Yeah, I mean, it's basic graphics because, I mean, obviously this whole world is like procedurally generated and there's a whole lot of stuff you got to hold into memory for this. And because it's all malleable, you can do whatever you want with it. That sort of like extra level of control and physics means you can't cheat, like you've got to hold all this information into memory. So it's quite CPU intensive and the graphics are not very well optimized, I got to be honest. Like
after all these years,
like you say, the graphics aren't amazing, but the frame rate is a bit low for the kind of graphical quality.
In the early videos that I saw for this game, everything looked a little bit janky and a little bit stuttery.
It's got a better, but yeah, I mean, it's still early access, and you can still feel that.
Yeah,
and there's not much of the optimization's been done. It's still very much like
And this is one of the reasons why I also feel really disappointed with the ports that have occurred onto the consoles. Yeah. And the reviews for the console versions of this game have ranged from 2 to 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
With the Metacritic score ranging from 35 to 45 out of 100.
Yeah.
And that's between critics and its player base. And as I said, however, but this is still one of the most played games on Steam.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show that the developers and the modders for the game on the PC format are keeping it very much going, but on the console it just doesn't get all of the updates, and it doesn't get the love of that mod support, which
costs money
is
every
killing
time
it.
They want to update it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have brought it out on consoles. You shouldn't bring out a game on console until it's finished. And if you're going to do early access on PC,
again, an argument where the consoles should probably not have early access titles on their game, on their consoles, on their store pages.
Exactly. I mean, you don't buy a console to play non-working games or half-working games. Do you know what I mean? To play unfinished games, it's a different.
I would never consider early access for a console. I think PC format is great because you can get instant updates as soon as the developers have gone. We've got a mod with patch. There it is.
Yeah.
With the consoles, you're waiting up to 2 weeks sometimes.
Well, more than that. Sometimes they won't even. They'll try and save up a few and just do a later update because it costs them so much money every time they want to actually like upgrade on those consoles. They have to pay Microsoft or Sony a fee for the bandwidth and the updates and stuff. So it's not in their favour to be continuously updating on consoles at all. So you're not going to get that same kind of love. So I wouldn't recommend buying this on console, not yet. When it's finished though, I think it'll do very well on console, probably. I mean, it is a good, fun game, and it's going to appeal to a more younger audience as well, I would think.
See, I know that if I would purchase this game if I had a larger group of players and we all decided, hey, we're all going to get onto the server, we're going to reenact Night of the Living Dead. We're all going to barricade up all the windows and doors. We're going to try and scramble around for any weapons, food and supply as we can, and try and work with each other to survive as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And until we all die. But I would kind of like the idea of a permadeath kind of system as well, where once you're dead you're out of that server and the rest of the survivors have to keep going. It's kind of shit if you were that player. Maybe you could just kind of spectate and watch the rest of your it's trying to find interesting ways to add. This is just the way I would like to. This is a player decided thing. You could like respawn the next day as a new character, join the group. I don't know.
I definitely think there's a lot of room for them to expand different potential modes.
Yes,
and like you say, modding, set up scenarios. I think the base. I think if the modding potential is advanced enough and creative enough. Is it Unity engine, did you say?
Yes, it is. It's a Unity engine.
I think there's a good chance that with modders activating it and an active community, which it does have, like you say, it was this a very popular game.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll be able to craft all kinds of different game modes, which will make give this game a lot more legs off the back of it. And I think the developers, obviously they're pretty indie, they're not a major AAA title, there's not a huge budget behind this, but I think that's what they're focusing on, is giving a community a decent enough foundation.
Yeah, in order to just build up that toolbox and that sandpit and just keep adding more stuff to it and keeping it interesting and fresh. Because when I look at this game, I see the simple premise of it, and you kind of, it's going to live or die by the amount of content that's in there. And so, you know, kind of like Osiris New Dawn was kind of struggling a little bit for the amount of versatility in its buildings and structures and its content, which of course it's still building upon. This game also looks like it has quite a fundamental amount of content in terms of your building, your structures, and, you know, kind of having to go and find all those other bits of materials that you're going to need for it. How has it been for you, Geoff, finding all the materials that you need? Can you sort of... How is the crafting system as a game, as it plays? Is it frustrating, or do you usually find everything that you need and then it's a case of just navigating the user interface to find out, you know, what you're going to need and how things work together?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you first get in there, I gotta say it's very light on tutorial, and when you first get in here, you just got like a big long list of all the stuff that you've got in potentially in the game, and it can be a bit daunting, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Trying to see like so let's say like I go onto here and you've got to, like, for instance, that's decor miscellaneous. Look at all the stuff you've got in there. So do you, I mean,
so you can really
yeah, if you're the kind of person that finds like looking through all these menu systems a bit intimidating, then really I think it might be a bit of a barrier to you. If you've got a friend who already knows all the sorts of things you can build and they're just willing to pass on the information to you, or you've got the patience with this kind of menu system, then you can find like a wealth of stuff for you to do and a wealth of potential.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying something about they're thinking about putting in an electric system as well.
I think electricity is something that's coming in the next alpha patch. Electricity, so there's going to be, I guess, being able to turn the lights on and building generators and power cables. And
so I mean, you can see where it's going. It's the engineer's mind, you know, but for somebody who doesn't want to go like too hardcore,
that tree is hollow.
And they kind of want a generic purpose to it where they're defending themselves against something that's got something to shoot.
I want to build a skyscraper. I want to build the tower from Land of the Dead.
Well, that is it. If you want to go build a skyscraper, this is the perfect game for doing that, because you can just like keep planting loads of trees, get access to loads of resources, map around where all the stuff is that you want to constantly like get it, work his way up to getting the best tools, and then just smash it out and build a huge fortress or a huge tower or a shopping mall or whatever you want. You can make it in this game, because we've got all different kinds of buildings that you go raid out as well that have been crafted. So,
but it's not going to be easy to go right out and build that skyscraper. You're going to need the forefront of the planning, the foundations. You're going to need to know where your escape routes are going to be if you need to leave the tower, or if you where your trenches are going to be, where your traps are going to be, especially on those 7th and 14th and so on days.
Yeah, you can go as elaborate as you want. that is the beauty of it, is if you can imagine an objective, then that is your objective. Do you know what I mean? So, but you've got to be the kind of person that enjoys that. Now, there has also been rumblings from the fun pimps that they are toying and playing with the idea of adding in a narrative, of adding in a story, of a sequence of events or encounters that also occur. Well, I don't know whether they're missable or not. I guess would be an interesting way to enhance the flavour of this game, to give it more of the zombie survival-esque feel, other than you're this last person alive. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Modders could also probably craft their own stories as well, and that sort of thing, and all sorts of different scenarios.
Having to go and rescue people or
game modes.
Yeah.
You know, like there should be potential really to do an awful lot of different stuff with it.
Yeah.
And if the community gets behind it and people come up with enough ideas and they make it versatile enough for them to be able to fulfill those ideas, then bam, you know, like look how much support like various different games like Fallout and stuff like that, you know. Got people love a bit of survival, they love a bit of like building stuff, a bit of crafting. So
I'm kind of at two minds. I kind of recommend this game and also don't recommend this game. I recommend this game to PC players over console players, without a doubt. If you're a console player, wait until the game gets a final release or a full release, or you know, or all the patches and that and whatnot are available for it, and then also possibly on a budget too.
Yeah.
So unless of course you're on a console and you have a group of friends, you know, 4 or 5 of you that all want to play the game together, in which case I think the game will be worth more than the value that you'll pay for it because of the shared experience you'll have with it, which will be completely unique to you. So, you know, it is a resource gathering zombie survival game, and you know, just resource collecting games a dime a dozen. Every other game is kind of Minecraft-esque in that respect.
Yeah.
You know, if you want this sort of game, you can go play Ark if you want the dinosaurs. You can go play Osiris New Dawn if you want the sci-fi.
Yeah.
You can play this one if you want the zombies. Exactly, you can go play Rust if you want the PvP.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a type of this genre for everyone.
Yeah.
So that's why my recommendation is like, you know, you already know whether you're interested in this or not.
Exactly,
if you've got a group together that all want to get it, then you don't need to hear me anymore. Go and play it and go and tell your own zombie survival stories.
Yeah.
So, Geoff, are you in the same boat?
Yeah, this is, you know, it's Marmite, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you like this thing, like you say, you're already gonna know you're gonna like it. You probably have already gone. You know, basically, if you're still listening now, there's a good chance you're interested in this game already. So, as it goes in its genre, it's pretty damn good. I think it's really good fun, and it combines enough elements together from enough different genres to be an interesting and versatile and enjoyable game. It is PvE focused. Don't come looking for the PvP. I don't think you'll be particularly impressed with the mechanics, like the first person shooter mechanics, but if you're looking for co-op building, imagination fulfilling projects with some light combat involved, then this will be right up your street.
Excellent. Well, that's going to be it from us here at Off the Shelf Reviews this week. Just want to say thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Of course, film reviews on Thursdays, another gaming review next Friday. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.
Take it easy.